Greetings, everybody. I took some time and updated my bingo game, and I want to walk through setInterval in JavaScript and how this was able to be of use to me in this game. As you can see, initially you can play at your own pace, and you either can click here and look to see if you have it, or you would click over here just anywhere except for the free one, and then from there you could see if you had it, and it would basically keep popping up a new one every time you clicked. Well, setInterval has allowed me to switch it up, and now we're going by a timer. So it just runs the way that a usual bingo game would run. Someone would be calling these out, and you have no control over it. You just better be ready. And that's pretty much how it goes. I did put a delay on the other three players, so you have a chance of winning, because the computer's obviously pretty fast, so that's helpful too. And then you can toggle it off. And as you can see from my bingo timer, this is in local storage. I have it off, and then obviously I turn it back on, and it's just going to be back on. And let's say if I refresh it, it still knows that that's what I want to have it on. So it'll stay like that. And every 5 seconds, as you can see, it'll just head out and see if I've got it. Anyway, how's it all done? So this is very basic. I basically copied what they've done here in the developer Mozilla JavaScript kind of Bible. So they initiate a variable just saying something exists, but we're not going to tell you what it is yet. And then saying, hey, if this is null, we're going to fire it off to every second. We're going to fire off flash text, this function, which is down here. And based on, it's kind of a toggle for the most part. And so when they hit the stop, this turns into null. And all of a sudden it doesn't call this anymore. It doesn't equal that. So it equals null, and it'll stop. And here's their simple example. You see how it's changing colors? And then stop. That's pretty much it. So what's different here? What have I done? Well, start calling is the name of that function. So what I want to do is basically say every 5 seconds start doing that function called start calling. Every 5 seconds. So basically I'm saying the same thing here. But I'm putting it into one here. So if it's one, you play it, set the storage and the local storage, and otherwise you set the local storage for off and set the interval to null. So it truly is a toggle. And so in which case we're going to reset it here when it comes to our starting of the game. We can kind of tell this, and we'll be able to see if it's been saved in local storage. And if it's on, then we'll get it all ready and then fire it off to turn on. So we got to set it to null first. And that's pretty much it for following their code and making it work. And this is just one of those places where you can actually use setInterval. I mean, when it comes to the actual HTML, the file ultimately is just the button gets a little bit different. So here, when we want to look at the, history, I've got my buttons here, and one of them's calling out what kind of button I want to do, and this one is not bringing anything to the table, so it just says undefined. And so when you do start calling, you can see here, if it says manual, then return false. So none of those buttons will work. And then it also will be not null. So if it is, this will come in as undefined. And if this is not null, then we start on with the automatic checking for bingo, and so on and so forth. Anyway, this was pretty useful, and a lot of times you can come to see, you'll be using it in a web application, and you're not sure when something's happened yet, but you can't move on until this event has happened. So a lot of times you'll have things like this here to check to see, has an event happened yet? Has anything changed? If so, then I need to move forward with what we were up to. And you kind of have to wait around. A lot of times this was before the times they were using like a promise or .then, things like that. And you have to kind of hold out and wait, or async await is a thing now. But in the past, I remember this would be what you would have to do. It's like kind of, you're sitting out on a listener at a real time for every however many seconds you ask. So I hope you learned something.